I wanted to speak English so badly, but every time I tried, I gave up. Again and again, I felt like a failure. I watched others speak with confidence. And I thought, maybe I'm just not made for this. I started. I quit. I started again, then quit again. For years, I believed I was too old, too slow, too late to learn. But deep inside, I still had a small dream. I wanted to connect, to talk to people from other countries, to understand movies without subtitles, to travel and not feel lost. This is the story of how I started again. Not because I was strong, but because I was tired of feeling stuck, small, and scared. If you have ever felt the same, if you've given up before this story is for you, because I learned something powerful, it's never too late. My name is Linh. I'm 32 years old. I live in a small town in Vietnam. I work at a local bookstore. Every day, I arrange books, smile at customers, and sometimes help children find picture books. But deep inside, I dream of something more. When I was a teenager, I tried to learn English. I watched cartoons, copied words into a notebook, and listened to pop songs with lyrics. But I didn't know how to learn properly. I memorized lists, forgot them the next day, and felt too shy to speak. So I stopped. For years, I avoided English. I skipped job ads that required English. I stayed silent when tourists visited. I told myself, it's not for me. Still, a part of me kept hoping. Sometimes, at night, I would open YouTube and watch English learning videos secretly, feeling both excited and ashamed. I saw people online who learned English by themselves. I heard their voices. I felt inspired, but also small. I thought, they are brave. I'm not. Then, one evening, something happened. A woman came into the bookstore and asked me for help in English. I froze. My heart beat fast. I tried to answer, but my words didn't come out. I smiled nervously, pointed, and finally gave up. She thanked me and walked away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice in my head. Do you have this book? And my silence, my failure to answer, I felt angry at myself, not because I didn't know, but because I didn't even try. I had let fear win. Again. The next morning, I opened a notebook, a blank page. I wrote one sentence: I will speak English. Slowly, but I will. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't join a class. I just made a promise to myself. A quiet one, but a real one. I decided to start small. One video a day, one new word, one sentence I could say aloud without feeling afraid or stupid. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but this time, I didn't want perfect. I just wanted progress. A little more than yesterday. And so, my journey began not with a teacher, not with a course, but with a notebook, a pair of old earphones, and a simple dream. The first few days were strange. I felt shy talking to myself in English. I closed the door so no one could hear me practice. I picked a simple video, a short English conversation. I listened, paused, repeated. My voice sounded weak, but I kept going, line by line. At first, I couldn't catch everything, but I learned not to worry. I told myself, just one sentence today. One step is enough. I deepened my notebook and copied the sentence. How are you today? Then I said it out loud 5 times. I smiled to myself. That night, I watched a short video about daily English. I wrote down my favorite line: I'm doing my best. I repeated it before bed. Every morning, I greeted myself in the mirror. Good morning, Lynn. felt funny, but slowly, my voice became stronger, more natural. After a week, I added a new habit: shadowing. I chose slow videos and tried to speak exactly like the speaker, matching their tone. I made mistakes. I forgot words. Sometimes I laughed at myself, but I didn't stop. Every small mistake meant I was trying. I also wrote a sentence every night before sleeping. Just one. Something simple. I learned a new word today. I said a full sentence. My English still sounded broken, but I was doing something I had never done before. I was consistent. I showed up for myself. Some evenings, I didn't feel like practicing, but I reminded myself one sentence is better than zero. I just had to keep going. After a month, I noticed something. I understood more words in videos. I didn't need subtitles for some parts. My ears were getting stronger. I still couldn't speak fluently, but I no longer panicked when I heard English. My fear was slowly turning into curiosity. I started to write my own small dialogues. I played both parts like an actor. Hi, can I help you? I'm looking for this. Sometimes, I recorded my voice and listened again. It was strange, but helpful. I could hear my pronunciation. I could also hear my courage. One afternoon, a tourist came into the bookstore. My heart raced again. But this time, I smiled and said, "Hello, can I help you?" He smiled back, asked something simple. I understood. I answered. Not perfectly, but he understood me. That moment stayed in my heart. It wasn't a big success, just a small exchange. But for me, it meant everything. It meant I was not the same person anymore. That night, I wrote in my notebook, "Today, I spoke English. For real. I didn't freeze. I didn't run away." And for the first time, I believed that I could actually do this not in 1 week, not even in 3 months, but one step at a time. After that small success, I felt something new growing inside me: hope. It wasn't loud, but it was real. I wanted to keep going. Every morning, I greeted myself in the mirror again. "Good morning, Lynn. Let's speak English today." It became my daily ritual, like brushing teeth. I also kept using shadowing. Some days I used videos from real people vlogs, short interviews, simple stories. I liked hearing natural voices. I repeated what they said, even when I didn't fully understand. I focused on rhythm, emotion, and trying to sound like them. It wasn't easy. My tongue felt slow. My mouth got tired. But I laughed and said, "It's okay. English muscles are waking up." I also made a playlist called My English Friends. These were voices I trusted, people who spoke clearly, kindly. Their voices kept me company. One day, I understood a joke in a video, and I laughed at the right moment. It was small, but it made me feel alive. At work, I began to notice English words around me: book titles, signs, logos. I tried reading them aloud quietly. English was everywhere. I also made a habit of talking to myself when alone. "Lynn, don't forget your keys? Let's go get some coffee." It felt natural. When I felt nervous, I said, "It's okay. You're learning. You don't have to be perfect." That sentence became my best friend. After 2 months, I had filled 2 notebooks. I wrote what I learned, what I struggled with, and sometimes just how I felt. One evening, I wrote, "Today I felt proud." I answered a question at work in English. I even made the customer smile. I didn't tell my coworkers. I didn't need applause. I just needed to know that I was no longer afraid of English. Slowly, I began to trust myself more. I didn't run from mistakes. I welcomed them. Each one taught me something. I also noticed my brain switching. When I saw something in English, I no longer translated every word. I understood the message directly. My notebook became a map of my progress. I added little hearts next to sentences I was proud of. It made learning feel warm. I didn't always feel motivated. Some days were slow, but I kept my rule just one sentence. Even when tired, even when sad. This quiet habit gave me strength. My English was not perfect, but it was alive. I was speaking. I was understanding. I was growing. Sometimes I even dreamed in English short dreams, simple ones, but still, dreams. My mind was changing, my heart was opening, and in those quiet moments, I finally believed I was not stuck anymore. I was moving forward, one kind word at a time. It was during my third month that the trouble came. I applied for a new job, one that needed some English. I felt ready to try. The interview was online. I prepared for days. I practiced answers. I wrote key phrases in my notebook. I believed I had a chance. When the call began, I smiled. But then, the questions came faster than I expected. My mind froze. My words disappeared. I said the wrong thing. I repeated myself. I apologized again and again. My voice shook. My hands were wet. I felt small. After 5 minutes, the interview ended. The woman smiled politely, but I could see it in her eyes. I had failed. That night, I didn't practice. I didn't open my notebook. I stared at the ceiling and said, maybe I'm not good enough after all. Old thoughts came back. You're too slow. You'll never speak well. You started too late. I believed them. Again, for the next few days, I avoided English. I didn't watch videos. I didn't speak to the mirror. I felt tired and ashamed. Even at the bookstore, when I saw English books, I looked away. I didn't want to feel that pain again. One evening, I almost threw my notebook away. I held it in my hands and thought, what's the point of trying so hard? But something stopped me. A small paper fell from the notebook. It was a note I had written in my first week. It said, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. I stared at that line for a long time. I remembered how scared I was back then, how even saying hello felt like climbing a mountain. But I had come so far. I picked up the notebook and flipped through the pages. I saw progress, not perfection. I saw my own handwriting, full of effort and heart. I turned to the last page and wrote, you had a bad day, but it doesn't erase all your good days. Then I said out loud, Lynn, it's okay to feel sad, but you're not starting from zero. You're just resting. I gave myself permission to pause, not to quit, just rest. Sometimes, continuing means taking a breath, not running fast. The next morning, I didn't do a full practice. I just listened to one short video, and that was enough for that day. Little by little, my energy came back. I still felt the sting of failure, but I also felt a deeper strength. I didn't disappear. That failure didn't break me. It reminded me that I was still in the middle of my story, not at the end. One afternoon, a message arrived from an old friend. We hadn't spoken in years. She said, I saw your video comment. Your English is improving. I was surprised. I didn't even remember leaving that comment. It was just one short sentence under a learning video. This helped me. Thank you. Her message made me smile. It reminded me that small actions matter. Even one sentence can reach someone. Even broken English can make connection. Later that night, I looked back at my video history. So many lessons, so many repeats, so many quiet evenings of trying again. I suddenly felt proud. I hadn't noticed it day by day, but now I saw the whole picture. I was growing. I was showing up. I picked a video I used to fear fast English conversation. I played it. This time, I understood more than half. I couldn't believe it. I paused the video, replayed it, shadowed the lines. My voice was stronger, clearer. I even added my own reaction after each sentence. I looked in the mirror and said, "You're doing it, Lynn. You didn't quit. You came back." That moment felt like a new beginning. That same week, I printed out a photo of a dream place, New Zealand, I had always wanted to visit. I wrote under it someday. I made a new goal, not big. Just this: I will record myself speaking 1 minute of English every week, even if it's not perfect. The first recording was shaky. My voice trembled, but I smiled at the end and said, "Thank you for listening, future me." The next week, I recorded again. A little better? I shared it with my friend. She replied, "Your voice sounds so confident." I didn't believe her at first, but I listened again. And yes, something had changed. My voice no longer apologized. It spoke with quiet pride. Soon, I joined an online group of English learners. We shared sentences, short clips, and daily victories. No one was perfect, but everyone was brave. One girl from Brazil said, "You speak with feeling." I had never heard that before. Made me tear up. I didn't feel alone anymore. My English wasn't just for me. It was becoming a bridge, a way to meet people, share, connect. Even when I made mistakes, others encouraged me. They reminded me that learning is not about being the best, it's about being real. I started using English more in daily life, labeling things, talking to myself in shops, listening to music without subtitles, sending voice messages to friends. My favorite sentence became, "Just 1 minute a day can change your life." I even wrote it on my notebook cover in big letters. Until. And every time I opened that notebook, I felt ready, not to be perfect, but to keep learning, to keep walking, to keep believing. One day at work, a young girl came into the bookstore with her mom. She looked around, then walked up to me and said, "Hi." I smiled and said, "Hello, how can I help you?" She paused, then asked, "Do you speak English?" I said, "A little. I'm learning." She looked excited. "Me too," she said. Her mother smiled and said, "She's been shy to speak. She thinks her English isn't good." I leaned forward and said gently, "Mine isn't perfect either, but every day we get a little better." The girl nodded, eyes shining. Later, I showed her a simple English book for children. We read the title together. I said slowly, "Let's read the first line." She read it, stumbled on a word, then tried again. I smiled and said, "You didn't give up." She smiled back. After they left, I sat down behind the counter and breathed deeply. My heart felt warm. I remembered how scared I once was. That night, I recorded my weekly video. I talked about the little girl. I said, "You never know who's watching your journey. Keep going." A few days later, someone from the online group messaged me, "Your videos help me when I feel tired. Thank you for being honest." I stared at the message for a long time. I never thought I could inspire someone. I just shared my truth. Looking back, I didn't become fluent in 1 week or 1 month. I didn't use fancy apps or expensive tutors. I used what I had: a notebook, a mirror, a few kind voices, and most of all, patience. Quiet, gentle patience. That's what changed me. Now, I speak more freely. I make jokes. I ask questions. I even help others who are just starting. I still make mistakes, but I speak. I look back at the girl who froze in front of the tourist. I want to hug her and say, "Don't give up. You're not weak." I look ahead to the girl I'm still becoming, and I tell her, "Take your time. You're doing great. You're learning more than just English." Sometimes I still doubt myself, but now I know what to do. I return to my notebook. I whisper kind words. I take one more step. This journey gave me more than a language. It gave me trust in myself, in progress, in the beauty of small efforts, repeated with love. If you're listening now and you've given up before I understand, I've been there. And I'm here to tell you, you can begin again. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fast. You just need to keep walking, even slowly, even quietly, but never backwards. Because learning is not a test, it's a story, and your story matters, just like mine did, just like hers will.